Welcome back to Dragon Army Books. My name is Dustin, and if you are anything like me, your TBR list is extraordinarily, egregiously lengthy. And you're never going to get to all of those books on your TBR list, even if you had a million years to read them all. I don't even spend tons of money on books. Like typically when I purchase a book, I'm going to immediately read it. I don't just buy books and then put them on my bookshelf, never to be read. But there are still a few books that have made it to my bookshelf that I still have not yet read. And I don't have a good reason for not having read any of these books. There's been other books that I've read instead. And so in this video, I want to share with you 5 of those books that I haven't yet read that are on my bookshelf, and then I want you to help determine which book I will read next. In no particular order, the first book is Terry Pratchett's The Color of Magic. I'm going to have an image of the book pop up so that you can actually see it in proper orientation. But this is the first book in the Discworld series, and I have not yet read any books in the Discworld series. I know that you don't have to start at the beginning of publication order, that you can pick up the series at a few different places throughout, and fans of the series say a lot of different good places to start, but I am a completionist and I always have to start at the beginning of a story. Like, I just do. Like, I'm someone that wants to start with Final Fantasy 1 before playing Final Fantasy 15, and there's no correlation or connection between the majority of the Final Fantasy titles, but just in case there's small Easter eggs or any kind of thing alluding to previous stories, I've got to catch it. That was just an example to tell you that I've got to start at the beginning. So I'm not expecting this to be the best that Terry Pratchett has to offer, but if it at least shows me a little bit about Discworld, which I know very little about. I know that it's got a particular kind of humor here, and then I know that the world is on top of elephants that are on top of a turtle in space, something like that. So this is one of the books. It's Terry Pratchett's The Color of Magic. Next up is The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. That's not how letters work for me in English, and I know he's not from an English-speaking country in the first place, so listen, this is my fault, obviously not his, for having this spelling of name. This is the first book in the Witcher series. In fact, I believe it's the prequel novel. So chronologically speaking, it is the first book in the series, if I am not mistaken. And listen, I played Witcher 3. That's the only Witcher game that I have played. I started the first episode of the Witcher Netflix series, but didn't invest heavily into that, although I want to, and I still have this book. I really want to read it because I've heard really good things about it. I just haven't got around to it yet. Thoroughly loved Witcher 3 and love the world, and I love Geralt and some of the other main characters. I love the idea of the Witcher going after the various monsters and kind of being paid, I believe, to do that, and just some interesting characters, interesting magic system and world that was created, and so I really want to get into this. Again, I just haven't yet. And then we've got R.J. Barker's The Bone Ships, which I don't know much about this, but there are 2 things that struck me immediately. One is on the cover, Nicholas Eames, the author of Kings of the Wild and Bloody Rose, actually wrote just a single sentence saying, "A singular, sensational new voice in epic fantasy." I love Nicholas Eames. I love the band series that he is writing, and so that got my attention. But then secondly is that this book has, at least in its world, I don't know if it's directly about, but in its world building, the ships that everyone sails on are made from the bones of ancient dragons. And the warriors use these bone ships to fight this endless war. That sounds extraordinarily cool. On top of that, I've been listening to a podcast by a few different authors. RJ Barker is either one of them or he's been a guest on the show a couple of times, and I've really liked his input and what he's had to say about the craft of writing. So this one's up there for me. This one's up there for me. If you've read it and it's exceptionally good, please then you vote on this, because out of the books, this is near the top of my list. But I know that this is going to be on the top of many of yours. It is Steven Erikson's Gardens of the Moon, which is the first book in the Malazan. I know everybody says this wrong. Everybody pronounces it Malazan, but the author's like, that's not how you pronounce it. It's Malazan, I believe. Something along those lines. It is the first book in that series. Listen, on BookTube, it is Malazan, Book of the Fallen. It is Brandon Sanderson and the Cosmere. And I feel like there's one other like meme author or book series that's like, you gotta read and you gotta talk about this and you'll be popular on BookTube. This is one of them. I've been nervous because it's a fairly chunky book, but then I've also heard that it is extraordinarily dense or difficult to read, that it's not your typical fantasy fiction. And so I've been really nervous about getting into this series, and then there's multiple books. So once I'm in for one, if I liked it, I'm in for the long haul, and there's a lot more to read. So it's fairly intimidating. I don't know. Honestly, I know virtually nothing about this series. I couldn't tell you the main character. I couldn't tell you the magic system. I couldn't tell you any of the world building elements. I am completely in the dark here. The only thing that I'm remembering, I believe, is that there are multiple POVs again, and it can get very confusing. There's a lot of world building. It's dense. The words, I'm seeing tons of words that don't make any sense as I just kind of rifle through these pages. Now, maybe this will mean a lot to you, but Tattersall, Whiskey Jack, Moranth, Free Cities, Darujistan. Some of those probably don't mean much, but for some of you, you're like, don't do that. You're gonna spoil things for you. But this is one that I haven't yet read. Really looking forward to, and it's been on my bookshelf for a good amount of time now. And then finally, I bought this because of the cover. I love this book style, like this art style. It's called The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. And on the front, it says, love the Wheel of Time. This is about to become your new favorite series. Well, to be honest, I've only read one Wheel of Time book, The Eye of the World, and I liked it, but I'm not jumping in and committing to the series. I love I love the cover. You can see it right here. I had also seen this. I don't know if it was from other reviews or if it was from arcs that were going out or what, but I've seen this around. It's another book that I can't tell you much about, but it looks pretty sword and shield fantasy. It looks pretty like spear, bow and arrow, traveling, going on a journey. Again, I don't know much of anything about this book or series, because I believe there's at least 2 or 3. I don't think it's a complete series yet. It is the Licanius trilogy. And it's by Orbit. I'm a huge Orbit fan right now, really enjoying everything that's coming out from Orbit recently. Those are the 5 books that I'm currently looking at reading that I haven't yet read. And these books have been on my bookshelf from anywhere between a month now to, I think one of these have been on there for a good 6 months to a year now. I've got to get to them. This is what you're going to do. You're going to let me know in the comments down below which book I should read next, or which book I should at least shift to the top of my TBR and get to as soon as possible. Once again, here are the 5 books. Put which book you think I should read down in the comments below. And listen, I look like this in just a ratty t-shirt doing this because it's been difficult to record lately. It's now summer and I'm not in the warmest climate in the world by any means. But upstairs at my house where this filming recording room is, it has gotten extremely warm lately, and To turn these lights on and to record something without sweating to death has been a struggle. It's towards evening. It's just been a cooler day outside, and I got lucky to record this, but I don't want this to slow down my schedule, so I'm going to try to record more. It just might be in the middle of the night. It might not be the best of lighting, but thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for continuing to watch my videos and content. Here is a little spoiler alert, but I just passed where I can make my channel monetized. Now, I know it's going to be a long time until my first payout for you watching my videos, but thank you for all of you that have subscribed. Thank you for all of you that have watched my videos, and thank you for all of you that are now going to watch through the entire ads so that I could potentially get a few coins for producing these videos. So thanks again for watching this particular video, for clicking like. If you haven't yet, click subscribe, join the Dragon Army, and we'll see you in the next one.